patience heals.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I'm saying? Being apologetic in a pure way.
And giving in sometimes.
And giving in. So you know what? Yeah, like, you know what? You're right.
You're right. Let's do it that way.
Let's do it that way. Let's
9
try
times
it.
out of 10, I'm right. But sometimes I gotta give in, you know?
My bro.
What's up, bro?
It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, this is a special, show for me because you're actually my brother.
Right?
You're my blood brother. And, this show is a little more personal for me. Besides you being my brother, you as an individual, you have your own story.
Right.
And, the objective of this show is really being successful and victorious from some type of despair. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to interview you as an individual.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I'll chime in as your brother, because when you talk about some of your childhood, I was probably right next to you in some of those stories,
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with, who is Manuel Meraz?
Well, today, Manuel Meraz is a family man.
Okay.
I'm happily married.
Okay.
We're over 20 years married, 22 years married now. I have my 3 boys. We recently became grandparents.
Okay. Congratulations.
So today it's just a life of a family man. Very happily married. I have my wife who supports me in everything we do. We're together all the time.
22 years.
22 years married. We have a business together. We do insurance for seniors, primarily, or disabled. Working together has really put our business in a different perspective of the
Bracket,
people we deal with.
yeah.
When they see a family business, or when you're doing a business deal and your wife is there and she's part of the business conversations, I think some of the people that we work with see that a little bit differently. And it's really helped us grow a lot faster.
More unionship.
Correct.
Mutualism.
They see the connection as a family, the unity.
Family.
And it just tends to
Create a better environment.
Correct. They take us a little bit more serious for some reason.
Yeah.
But my wife and I have been doing this together for a few years now, and today that's pretty much my life, man. I get up every day. We're people that are Christ-centered. So we are people of prayer. We spend a lot of time praying. Everything we do, that's our motto. We do it as if it was for God. We're not perfect. It's not about perfection. It's just about overcoming anything that gets in your way sometimes, because as human beings, we have feelings.
Of course.
And we overcome those feelings by having good communication, by working hard, just adding everything up that is, to many people, common sense. It's really more of from a spiritual standpoint, it's not about common sense. It's really about, above and beyond what we could think of when you seek prayer, when you seek God, and that's who we are. We have a business, but we're happy. Yeah. We don't work 20 hours a day. We work 9 to 5, like most people. We're off on weekends. We go to church. We hang out with our kids. We connect with our family.
Yeah.
So being in this position today, I could tell you, I thank God every day, and I tell him, I want to stay humble. Yeah. This is a privilege.
Yes.
And I want to keep the privilege, because, you could lose things.
That is a very important subject, because a lot of people get a taste of something and everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything takes a shift. Yeah. I've been guilty of that, because in my upbringing, it was music. It was being an artist. So, coming from where we came from, we were told, you're not going to be able to do that. Yeah. You're not going to be successful. We were poor.
Yep.
I mean, poor in finance.
Yeah.
But we were rich in other ways.
Yeah.
We had a very humble, loving mother.
Oh, yeah.
And, but when you do get a taste of the coin, it puts poison in you. And for you to be able to stay centered the way that you've been, all these years, and I've seen you, grow. I mean, we were side by side for so long until mom left.
Yeah.
So you know, that's it's beautiful to be able to see you like that. Now let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. And of course, like I said, I know the answer to some of these things, and some of them I don't, because you were on the other side of it. So tell me about the upbringing, where you grew up, what the things that you went through, some of the obstacles that you faced, and some of the things that you had to deal with as an individual on your own.
Well, we grew up in a rough neighborhood. You mentioned mom, and yeah, there was a lot of schooling, of being generous. I remember the occasions where we're at the little park next to the home.
Yeah.
The illegal people that would cross the border, she would say, go feed them.
Yeah.
I made these sandwiches.
We would take
so we always had that environment of being good to people, doing good for others, wishing well for others. But we also grew up in a rough neighborhood where every other week it was duck, bullets, and be careful. We even had to relocate at some point, but it really didn't change much. I think I grew up I loved my brothers, growing up with my brothers, my little sister. I loved my dad. But we were somewhat of a dysfunctional family when my mom got sick.
Yeah.
And I lived to some extent, I lived in fear, not knowing who was going to take care of me.
Yeah.
What was I going to do? There was occasions, and it's like everything, bro. When something happens to someone, when someone's sick, dying, that could create a little bit of tension within the family.
Yeah.
When there's a wedding, there could be some tension within the families when they're preparing. So imagine when you're going through this growth, when you're 8, 9, 12 years old, and you said it earlier, we were very poor. Our having a quarter to buy a big stick was a privilege.
It was a privilege.
But I think I grew up in fear inside of me, but I had to be strong because my brothers were strong, because we were tough, And so it did help. It did help because it pushed me.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, how were you able to, because we were together up until she finally left.
Right.
I always say, in my own perspective and perception of what happened with our family, that she passed twice.
Yeah.
When she left and when she actually passed. Because when she left, we all separated.
Yeah.
It was over for us as brothers. And we were close when we were young.
Yeah.
And that got taken away from us. So, me personally, the way that I don't know that I could honestly say that I felt fear. I think I was more scattered in confusion.
Yeah.
Right? And I think I built a lot of resentment as I got older, because I saw the abandonment from the people that were close to us. So how were you able to deal with your own fear when there wasn't an adult or a sibling around you?
That's a good question. And as I think about it, I think that, I think God took care of all of us.
Yes,
but
sure.
In my story, I was too young to understand.
Yeah. You were 10 around
I was 10, I was 11 15. When my mom got sick.
Yeah.
So I was too young to understand. My brothers were there for me. My dad, even with his own issues that he had, he was there however he could. And there was a few people there that always take care of you, And I remember I had a friend's mother who signed me up to go to Sunday school. And they would pick me up in this big blue bus. I don't know if you remember.
Nah.
And the Sundays, I was looking forward to it because we were so poor. I didn't have any money. But when church was over, I would get a cinnamon roll for free.
Oh, man.
So those kind of things, I think,
stayed with you.
Today, I understand it was just God taking care of us.
Yeah, for sure. But at that time.
But at that moment, I think because of my age, I didn't understand the gravity of our situation and the things that were going to come.
Yeah.
When I got to 16 years old, that's when my mom died.
Yeah.
Then it was different.
Yeah.
That's where things started to kick in for me.
Yeah, you see, and that's what I always say. Like, I always look at it like mom passed when I was 15, because that's when I feel that we lost our mother, because she was never the same.
Yeah.
She suffered so much for so long. And I think that the more time that went on, you know, the gravity and the magnitude of what was happening to the dynamic of our family was so huge that we weren't really able to understand it. I know I didn't. And that was one of the reasons why it was really important for me to have you here, because fast forwarding and pausing that story for a second, where I'm at currently in my life, you know, I'm able to take a step back and say, how was it for my brother? How was it for our other brother? How was it for our sister? Yeah. How was it for our brother that passed away? You know, and being able to have you here and hear your perspective is an honor to me. And it's, you know, it's therapeutic for me. Yeah. Because in all due reality, we were part of that same despair.
Yeah, we were. And, you know, when I did hit to that age of understanding, where I was 16 and our mom passed away, you were the one with her there. Yeah. You know, I was with Oscar.
Yeah, you guys had just left.
We had just left. We were in San Diego and you called and we got there quickly. And you know, I understood now. I think that's where it kicked in.
At that time,
at 16.
Because we were almost prepared for that moment.
Yeah, it was a few years of her being in a convalescent home,
and being sick.
Correct. But, you know, for what it's worth, I don't think I ever told you this, but within months of this happening, that's when I met my wife. I was 16 when I met her, and we're still together over 25 years later. Yeah. But that relationship as a young boy with her distracted me from the situation. But within my knowledge of understanding, within my reasoning, I would pray to God within that time frame and saying, "Hey, in my own loneliness," because I was lonely at 16, and that's what I was going to get to. I started feeling things. I started feeling lonely. I started feeling, you know, worried about. I mean, bro, I even thought at a few occasions, is it better if I do something bad and just go to prison where they're going to take care of me? Wow. That's how lonely and scared I was at times. Yeah. And the within months before our mom passed, I remember saying a prayer. You know, I didn't have much knowledge of anything religious or anything. Of prayer, just because our mom used to take us to church, used to take us to Sunday school and the community. I did all that because my mom had me do it, right? Yeah. But I remember one night I was praying and I said, "Hey, if you exist, God, take her or cure her. Yeah. But we don't want to be like this anymore. It's very difficult because I'm understanding." And the day she passed away, it hurt, but I was happy you were there with her. Yeah. I felt that was good. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm sure you know why, but I felt good.
And, you know, and even like you said, on your level of understanding, like for me, it was more healing and more therapeutic later in my life. Yeah. I wasn't able to grasp the moment of her passing when she passed, because even though she was suffering for that long, and at that time I was still young and I was a young dad and I was struggling with alcoholism and the gang stuff, and you know, I was in problems all the time. And when I got that moment with her and I felt her leave, I almost felt like whatever good I had in me left too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I remember like at the funeral right after that, you know, everything just seemed to, like the moment that we were waiting for happened, and then everyone just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what happened.
And it was horrible, because in all due reality, like whether we like it or not, in some dysfunctional way, we all learned to live without each other. Yeah. And we're siblings. Yeah. You know, and then
and born and raised together.
Yeah. You know, in the same house. Yeah. You know, and you know, one thing that I will always be grateful for is that she did leave her stamp on all of us. Yeah. Because she was such a good person. She was a good person. Yeah. You know, and for me to be able to be here and hear you say that is crazy. So, okay, so she passes. What happens next in your life, in your chapter?
So, like I said earlier, I started to date my wife today, right? And I was young, but I was lonely, bro. And
lonely in a sense where you didn't have a family dynamic like how we had.
That you just said it. We kind of went our own ways.
Yeah.
And I felt lonely. I felt in the situation that my brothers were at the time, they had their own challenges. They weren't all doing very well.
Yeah.
But I knew my brothers loved me. And if I needed anything, their defense wasn't going to be an advice. I think the defense was going to be more violent.
Violence.
Like if I said, hey, bro, my dad did this to me.
It was violence.
I'm going to kill him. You know,
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be, oh, look, this is how I would do it today, how you would do it today. But at the time, it was nothing about, it was violent.
Bro,
everything was violent.
That was our upbringing.
Exactly.
Anytime you had a problem, I responded with violence. You remember?
I remember.
Many times.
I remember one time running from middle school. 20 kids chasing me, 20 gangsters.
Yeah.
And you were at the corner with the baseball bat and chased them right back. Remember? I have a lot of stories like that. And that was us. That's who we were.
Yeah.
But when I hit to that age of 16 after the funeral there in Market Street, when we all kind of went our own ways, you know, you had started your family really young. You know, each brother had their own situation. I started working. You know, my first goal was to finish high school. To be the first one to get out of there good.
To get out of there.
And then to go to college. And so I did that. You know, I went to high school. I went through different high schools, bro, because there was no stability.
What was the mind frame? What was going on in your mind at that time where you're like, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to do this.
That was my mindset, like get done.
But I'm sure you had your own problems.
I had my own issues with stability. I had nowhere to live. I didn't have a home. You know, I was rooming here, rooming there. I think I stayed with you at one point.
Yeah.
And that was very hard.
Yeah.
You know, and that was for about almost 2 years of being moved around.
Because I remember a time, and you know, we can laugh about it now, but you got a little rebellious when you were a certain age. Like you were in jail in TJ a few times. You know, I remember when you would cross the border and they would tell you, let me see your passport. You would tell them, let me see yours.
Yeah.
And you were very combative.
Those are some of the stories that I have today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very, you know, when you have no direction, when you have no role model, when you have no one
leadership.
There, yeah. No leadership.
Yeah.
You kind of, you get to the point where you want to just figure things out yourself and you don't want anyone to tell you anything.
Would you say that part of that rebellious behavior was because of everything that happened and you were just like, you know, it's me against the world?
Yeah.
Because I know I felt like that.
I sure did, because of all the moving around that I had been through. When I got into that age,
a lot of broken promises.
You know, when I got into that age of what you're just talking about, things that I was going through, it was because I was finally taking care of myself.
You were on your own.
I was on my own. Prior to that, I was dependent
on somebody else.
Exactly, and it wasn't good. There was no. Look, bro, no one would give a dime for me if they knew my situation. It was a very tough situation.
Yeah.
You know, I went a lot of days hungry.
Yeah.
There was a lot of days where I had to eat raw bread because there was no more. The chips, the Doritos, when they go dry,
the stale,
they're no good. You know, but that's all I had.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I got to the point where I was able to finally get a job and work, I ended up moving into Mexico. I was commuting because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's where I got into that point. You know, there was no one there to tell me right from wrong. I grew up around violence.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember our home. There was bullets all over the home. There was all kinds of things that we lived.
At all times.
Exactly.
There was weapons. There was violence. There was alcohol.
Raids.
Raids.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it.
So imagine that, growing up in that environment, and now you're on your own. But I still had that goal where I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through high school. I'm going to go to college. I'll be the first one. I got to make a change. That was what I was thinking on the other side of my brain.
Did you have, because you were good at baseball, you got robbed of that too.
I did.
Because when mom was alive, there was some structure.
Yeah.
Remember, she did what she could to put, like, I was just telling Marissa on the way over here that remember when I got kicked out of catechism?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So So when I got kicked out of catechism, you know, our mom was like, what happened? So I was like, well, at that time, I'm like, well, how do you know that any of this is actually real when the people that raised you put a traditional, pattern in your head that this is the way it's supposed to be? And while they did that, they violated you the whole time.
Yeah.
So she said, you know what? You're right. Bought me a vanilla shake across the street. And we never talked about religion again. Yeah. But I think, too, one of the important things to say, and I always tell my girl this, is a lot of the feelings that were meant to be attended when we were that age were left unattended.
Yeah.
But you know why? I figured this out later is the people that were in leadership positions at that time, their feelings when they were that age were left unattended too.
Yep. And that's a good point you bring, because today I could tell you, with my three young men, they're young men. They sometimes tell me stories of their friends or friends that are going through things. You run into people that tell you stories, and everyone has a story. Some are more privileged and they don't really have too much of a story, but they don't do anything with the privileges that they have.
Yes.
It comes down to the individual to make decisions. I can't use my past and all the things that I suffered to justify doing bad things or making bad decisions in the future.
And you see, here's the thing, and I'm glad that you brought up that point. This is why these type of platforms are very important, because somehow, some way, in a lot of family dynamics, in a lot of cultures, in a lot of environments, people are conditioned to believe that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, dude, your mom died. Your dad abandoned you. Yeah. Your brother's in jail. Yeah. You got cheated on. Let's go to the bar and do some coke.
Bad stuff. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why not?
Yeah.
And then that turns into, when in all due reality, we're supposed to use that suffering as energy and tools to make us better. Like you said, you being a father now, you having kids, me being a father, and because I was a young father, I'll openly admit, and that I went about things not the right way. But it is very important to never leave young children feelings unattended or yours.
Exactly.
Because when we do that, it just creates a catastrophe.
It does. And it could lead to death. Could lead to disability. One of the things that I don't think I ever told you, those were one of the fears that I had. And now we're talking about 17, 18, that I didn't want to tell my brothers because I thought they're going to get violent because they're going to defend me. I was homeless for a month. I lived in my car for a month.
Wow.
I would park out in the streets in San Diego in the nicest neighborhood I could find, roll my seat back and sleep because I had nowhere to live.
Wow.
And, that was a scary moment for me.
Remember when mom first got sick and she left the hospital and we were all scattered? Bro, same thing. I remember the bike. I'd ride the bike back to the neighborhood and I'd sleep at the park.
Yeah.
That's a scary feeling. It's very scary. And to be so young and to have those type of thoughts in your head, being alone.
And at the same time, trying to finish school, I started commuting in the trolley. I would do whatever. I got a job.
You were always a go-getter. Yeah.
And, there was a few occasions that these grown men would try to persuade me into a relationship at a bus stop, and I would catch on like, this guy, he's not, I know your dad. Is your dad's name this? No, my dad's name is that. Oh, yeah, that's your dad. Hey, let's go have some drinks. And I would catch on. I go, this guy wants something else.
Yeah.
So going through things like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And being hungry, not, having a dad, having a house, but you can't go there because it's so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
You know what clicked into me at one point? What got me going? I gotta say it because it's important. Someone close to me one day said, "You're gonna be a failure the rest of your life.
No.
You're not gonna do anything with your life, and you're just gonna be a failure."
No way.
That's what made my thinking change to where either I use my life as an excuse to be a thief, to be a murderer, to do bad things.
Bad things.
Or to turn it around and be someone. And being someone doesn't mean that you have to be a billionaire or the most popular person in the world.
No.
Being
self-accomplished.
Exactly.
Yeah. Having self-worth.
That comment, that prediction that was brought upon me, it moved me. And I said, no, that's not going to be the case. And you'll see. And from that point on, I think, I got married when I was 20. We finally got married. We had our first kid when I was 21. And I started working. I couldn't finish school. During my moment of being homeless is when I had to leave school. I had signed up to college. I was admitted to San Diego State. Didn't go because I couldn't afford it. At the time, my dad would claim me on his taxes, so I couldn't get any financial aid. So I went to a junior college, said, okay, I'll go 2 years and then I'll transfer. I remember one of the first books that I had to buy at the time. Today, it's all great. They got all digital stuff and things like that. But it was a $500 book. Imagine.
Yeah.
So I had to quit school. And I started working 2 jobs. I started working 2 jobs so I could take care of myself. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife today, I would say, my desire is to have a family. And she would say, but you do have a family and your brothers love you. I go, I know they love me, but they're my relatives today. I don't see them. Yeah. They're just relatives. Yeah. My family is going to be my wife and my sons and my daughters. Yeah, I don't have no daughters.
Whatever you had, yeah.
But I want that.
And you know what? And that's a really interesting point for you to be able to think that deep and that real at that time with so much going on. Because in all due reality, me and her talk about the same things. Like one day our kids are gonna grow up, right?
Yeah.
Right. And in the meanwhile, there's 2 parts of your life. You have the first part of your life, then you have the life when you know what you want.
Exactly.
And you know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you know to what extent you're willing to go to preserve the things that you want. Because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But once you're able to do that, then you create a home with someone.
Yeah. You
create that home, right?
Yep.
And that's what you're saying. Like you wanted that.
I have a wife who was raised from a good family. She's like I said earlier, I have she's my friend. She's my partner. She's my best friend. And, our kids are gone. Our youngest leaves next in 2 months. And,
that's insane.
It ends up just being me and her. Yeah. So we learned at a young age that we had to take care of our relationship. Bro, we've had problems. Yeah. We're not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes, but you learn from them. You have the choice to learn from them or drown, and I declined to drown. I want to learn. I want to live and, learn. I could tell you, I've learned how to be more patient. I've learned how to be generous because even when our business started, even when things were doing good for business, we were so poor, bro, that when I got to the point where I was able to do things for ourselves financially, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, let's get this, let's get that. I'm this. And you start elevating off the ground. Yeah. And, this one guy told me, it's funny because he called me, a guy I used to work with. He's in his 70s today. And he just called me last week because he saw a commercial from our business and he wanted to say hi. He told me over 20 years ago, he says, you never want to raise your head too high because it's going to get chopped off. Yeah. And you don't want to leave it too low because you're going to get stomped on. You have to keep level.
Yeah, you got to stay level.
And I've kept that advice he gave me, and I've made it a point to be a person that learns. I've learned how to say sorry. I've learned how to give in sometimes. You can't always win. We're very competitive.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point that you make because, I've been that way. I've been that way because you think you're growing. Well, you are growing. Yeah. But you think, you know what? I'm healthy. I'm not wrong. Yeah. What do you mean I'm wrong? You're wrong. Let my dominant voice and my dominant voice somehow dominate your feelings. Yeah. And that's wrong because I've done that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, just being able, she was telling me just the other day, we did a little message and it was, when you let patience do its job, you'll be able to de-escalate something negative in the most beautiful way that you can possibly imagine. And it's true. Yeah. Patience heals. Yeah.
It does.
You know, saying being apologetic in a pure way.
And giving in sometimes.
And giving in. So you know what? Yeah, like, you know what? You're right.
You're right. Let's do it that way.
Let's do it that way. Let's
9 times out of 10, I'm right. But sometimes I gotta give in, you know?
Yeah, but you know, bro, these are magnificent, wonderful points that you're making.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, we grew up in a tradition that was violent and full of machismo. Bro.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to cry.
No.
We weren't allowed to show weakness.
Yeah.
You know, we were taught the opposite of what a gentleman is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's great that you brought that up, because it is important to say that there's some grown men right now that do not know how to apologize. Some grown men right now that believe that they're always going to be right. And I could say openly that I fell into that category at some point.
And you know, sometimes we align ourselves with it's just the wrong people or the wrong person at the wrong time. You know, when I started working as a family man, when I got married, 20, 21, I was working 3 jobs at one time, riding a bike at midnight on Texas Street down in San Diego. Man. You know that big hill? Yeah. Took me a month to drive it up, bro, to take it up.
Wow.
But that was a sacrifice that I started doing for the love of my wife, for the love of my child. But sometimes when you know, as we're growing, we may align ourselves with people that may be successful, that may, you know, they could be a doctor, they could be an artist, they could be very successful in what they do, but they're just human. And, you know, that's what I caught on to, bro. When I started working as a, you know, recently married family man, I started from the bottom, making minimum, working the job no one wanted, you know. But when I figured it out and I said, hey, all you have to do is work hard. All you have to do is be respectful. All you have to do is be honest and give it all you got. That takes you places.
Oh, bro.
And you know, and that's all I really did. You know, I wasn't able to accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish, but it's not too late. I still have goals that I had when I was 20 years old, and you know?
Yeah, and you know, I think another important thing, I didn't want to interrupt you, is a lot of people have a very distorted perception of what successful is.
Yeah.
Money in the bank doesn't mean you're successful.
No.
The moral victory. You can't compensate inner poverty. Because there's people that are multimillionaires all over the world that are absolutely emotional, bankrupt, mentally obese, people that are physically fit, you know? And the real success is being liberated from confinement, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like to see the boys, to see you be a grandfather, even you. When did we think, bro, that we would be sitting here in this environment doing this? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially as brutal as I was.
I was going to say that. I'm glad you said it, bro. I want you to know that as your brother, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to see that, you know, the vibe you bring, very positive, you know, and it's good to see that. You know, it's good to be connected with you. And doing this with you, I was looking forward to it. A little bit about our story, but I want you to know I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, brother.
I'm happy that you're doing this. I think this, you know, there's a lot of people that are probably listening that they think that they're the only ones that are having this specific problem. And I might have mentioned something. Yeah. You might have mentioned something. But when they hear our story and how we overcame that problem or how we overcame that challenge, they're going to want some more of it, you know, and this is important. So I'm happy that you're doing this.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And, you know, sometimes it's difficult for somebody that meets me in these recent years and sees me now, and they have no idea how destructive I was at one point, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, not that I enjoy talking about it, but I openly talk about it because, you know, if it wasn't for those things, you know, I have to be able to say like, yeah, I did that and I did that, but I was able to grow from that. Right. Even, you know, even with us, you know, us having issues in our time. And I remember one time I was driving back home from, you know, some event somewhere, and I passed through by your exit. And I'm like, dude, my brother lives right here. I haven't talked to my brother in who knows how long, you know, over some egotistical, you know, inappropriate behavior, you know, based on rage on alcoholism. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call him. You know what's funny is I had left you a message that you never received because you changed your number.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. You know, so for like maybe
Later
10 months, 10 months went by.
Yeah.
So I asked our other brother for your number. And then, you know, I apologized to you and it felt good to be able to see. And, you know, again, when I saw you again and I saw you in person, it was bittersweet for me, you know, because it made me sad how much time went by with us apart. Yeah. But it was beautiful to be reminded of what you are and what we are as brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the memories we have, bro, they're there.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like if it was yesterday.
Yeah,
and all the fun stuff we went through.
For sure.
And I enjoy remembering those good things.
Yeah.
The bad, like I just said it, we learn from those.
Yeah.
You know, but today here we are, man. We're a family. We're a big family now.
Yeah.
All together. And that's exciting. We have many years looking forward to
we're making plans.
Exactly.
You know, we're making plans to unite all the kids and everything. Let me touch on something that might be a little sensitive, but I think is important. You know, we lost our mom. We all got separated. You know, you were on your journey in becoming a young father. You know, you were working hard, doing your stuff. And then our brother dies in a car accident.
Yeah.
Where were you when that happened? How did you feel when all that happened? Where were you at in your life?
You know, it was very heartbreaking because he was our older brother. And when we were going through all this process, as we spoke earlier, I didn't catch on to everything. So I didn't understand much. So I wasn't as close to him as I was to you.
Yeah.
Specifically with you.
Yeah.
You and I were you know, they used to dress us the same, remember?
Yeah.
And then we had our other brother, Oscar. He was always more there when things were going bad. He would always just check in on me, pick me up at school. That's just the way he is.
Yeah.
But when our older brother passed away, we had just gone through what I would call a transition of unity. We had been hanging out. He had been coming to our house. My wife had been cooking for him. It was different.
You know, it's funny because it was the same for me.
Really?
It was the same for me because of all dysfunction, I went years without talking to him. So when Angelina was born, he gives me a call out of the blue. Hey, I want to meet your daughter. So I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know, he's all calm. Remember, he was calm in the end.
At the end.
At the end.
Right.
He was a raging bull at one point, you know, but in the end, he was very calm.
Yeah.
But you see, bro, when he started coming around, I had a lot of resentment for all the stuff that he would do when we were younger.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a transition because we were building.
Yeah.
He was at the house. He was going with me to the shows, to the studio. You know, he was he was spending the night.
He was going through his change. You know, he was going through his change, and that's why he reached out. You know, and you know, our son, our oldest son at the time, he had got sick. He had something that was very delicate. He was in the hospital, and I remember Martin was there and holding him. You know, and I remember we got together at one point. I don't know if you remember, at a park, and we were together hanging out with my younger boy, or my older boy, who was 1 or 2. And I remember he fell, and all 3 of you ran. He fell. You remember?
Yeah.
Those little moments, you know, I really cherish those moments. And so when the time came that he died, it really hurt me.
Yeah.
I was working. My father-in-law came to tell me about it. I was really hurt. Because I felt that, why so soon?
Yeah.
We're connecting, and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He was to some extent lonely.
Yeah.
And you know, but he was overcome. I feel that he was overcoming.
He was starting to grow.
He had just done that parachute video, pictures.
Yeah.
It's almost like confusing.
It is confusing
because it's like he was preparing to say goodbye.
Yeah.
He was in good terms with all of us, but that's how I felt. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, but he left a good taste in my mouth and in my wife's mouth. And my kids don't really remember him.
Yeah.
They were too young.
Yeah, yeah.
But he left a good taste, you know, and I always remember him. You know, I'm not the kind that really celebrates when someone's death date is, or
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that's just me personally.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not religion. It's
just
the way I handle it.
Yeah.
But every now and then, you know, I grab that CD with his picture from the parachute.
Yeah.
And I remember him. You know,
Yeah.
and I know I'm gonna see him one day. That's the
Yeah.
promise that I have in God and that you have in God, and we're gonna see him.
Yeah.
You know, but it was overwhelming to go through that.
Yeah, it was.
It was a brother.
That was you know, I started feeling like when that happened, I was in such a dark place. And I carried that weight on me for so long because I felt like I was responsible because I was drinking with him.
Yeah.
But in time, as I got clarity and I started building myself as a human being, because I felt like I was a pitch black soul at that point. I started understanding the real dynamic of life, and that's part of life.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it is important for us to cherish and to be aware of the people we love, and to be grateful and to wake up and have grace and be able to, you know, pick up the phone and call you. How are you, bro? How's everything? How about we have some food this weekend or whatever? Because those are the things that are priceless.
Yeah.
We can't pick up the phone and order that online. You know, that's the things those are the things that count. And you know, I'm glad that we're all making a pact to get back together and unite.
Couple weeks, bro.
Yeah, even if we have to, you know, grab Oscar by the ear and get him by, you know. But
I think they're all excited, and that's good. That's the beginning of our future.
Yeah.
And we can't live in the past. We could just learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, and today we just have to, you know, be prepared for whatever. We can't be dependent of material things. We can't be dependent of promises. I mean, if they all come out great, you know, but I think we just have to be, you know, I know you're a believer. I'm a believer. And you know, that's really what's helped me overcome a lot of these challenges that I would sometimes have at 1 or 2 in the morning. Like I know you did at one point.
Yeah.
You know, you just overcome them by living one day at a time, you know, one day at a time, live the best you can, be the best you can, work hard, you know, and then the next day reset, start over.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, as hard as some people work for the material things, they should work just as hard, if not harder, for the internal, you know, machine.
Yeah.
Because so many people are so obsessed with the car and the chain and, you know, that's cool to have all that. But the inner part of us is the real wealth.
Yeah.
You know, that, and I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, when people started dissolving and leaving my life was when I knew that I was growing, because the trash takes itself out when you're like really growing with purity and the people that are around you, like you have to decide, because I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes in my journey. I had to take a step back and be like, what did I do here? How did I go wrong here?
Yeah.
How could I make this right? And a lot of people have to understand, you know, making things right comes with a lot of responsibility. It does. Yeah. You know, and you have to be okay with that responsibility if you're pure.
Yeah.
About making things right.
Sometimes you just have to be able to take a shot.
Yeah.
But once you overcome it, you know, the truth sets you free.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what you're saying. Sometimes you have to make decisions. Who do you want to be aligned with?
Yeah.
Who you just want to keep here?
Yeah.
And who you want to keep away because they don't edify your life.
Yeah.
You want to be surrounded by people that bring good to you, to your life, give you good advice.
Yeah.
And you know, you take it from there.
Friends of your marriage, friends of your family, friends of, you know, all that is important.
It is.
So what would you say to a young man right now sleeping in the car that was told that he is going to be nothing in life? What would your advice be to him?
Oh, that's a good one. First of all, it may be hard for someone going through a situation like to understand this, but it's a school. You're learning right now. You know, you're gonna overcome it. Every life is a school, but you never give up. You have to set goals. My goals used to be huge goals that were not reasonable.
Realistic.
They were not realistic or reasonable.
Yes.
When I learned to make reasonable goals, it's when I was homeless. my first goal was to rent a little studio, not to get a mansion.
Yeah.
My next goal was to have stability in my job and try to get through school, and I did it. But you set reasonable goals, and just never give up believing. A lot of people have resentment with God because they prayed for something and it didn't happen the way they wanted it to happen.
It works. Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way. There's things, bro, that I've prayed for when I was in my car homeless that I'm barely getting fruits of today.
Yeah.
So for someone in that situation, it's biblical. You have to work hard and sweat to eat every day. So do that.
Now remember, bro, we were talking about honesty. We were talking about sincerity. I was talking about this thing about we eat bad food, it shows. We eat healthy food, it shows. Yeah. We got to feed ourselves these nutrients. And a lot of these nutrients, I think it was like repent, sincerity, forgiveness, healing. And I don't remember the other one, but it boils down to that. Yeah. You cannot be a convenient person and say, I prayed for 2 months. You didn't give me what I wanted. You're not real. I'm going to go be destructive. Yeah. Because it doesn't work that way. No. Faith is not based on that.
No. And I mean, come on, you have children.
Yeah.
If your child asks you for a gun, are you going to give them a gun?
No.
Of course not. Sometimes we just pray wrong and we don't catch on to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes things we want, we don't understand it, but it's not meant to be for today. And everything requires work. It's what I was telling you. You have to work to eat. You eat what you kill. And so that's what life is, but everything is a school. I lived in Mexico for a few months. I thought I was going to stay over there. I lived in my car. I lived with other people. I went through abusive people that were trying to be abusive, but thank God nothing happened. Yeah. If something did, I would speak up to help others, but that's not the case. Yeah. But it's just being someone that is honest and can be trusted. Reliable. And like I said earlier, sometimes you have to give in. Sometimes you have to say sorry, but sometimes you have to stand firm.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to take you,
Yeah.
Firm, fair, and flexible. Those are the 3 things that I apply to my life. Firm, fair, and flexible. And, today, I'm very happy we have a good business. It's a family business. My children are involved. We have thousands of customers that we help with their insurance.
And you built that.
Started from zero.
Yeah.
I started from zero. I was scared to take that step because I had a good job.
Yeah.
I had a good, over the years, I got training. I got good jobs. I was a director at a company. And I had to leave that in order to do this. But sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to make sacrifices, and when you and your family,
you have to be fearful and fearless at the same time.
And look, today, it's great. We're very happy. We get to do a lot of things that at one time we didn't. And the most important thing that I always keep in the back of my head, bro, is I don't want to lose these privileges. I told you earlier, I tell God, please help me always stay humble.
Yeah.
But if something happened where this business disappeared tomorrow, I'm not going to go commit suicide.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get mad. I'll go fishing if I have to eat.
Yeah.
And that's my mindset.
I love it.
It's one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Make reasonable goals. And you do it until you achieve it.
And appreciating the present moment is very important.
Exactly.
Not getting consumed in the shortcomings, not getting consumed in the past, and not getting so worried about the future either.
Exactly.
Like you said, you wake up, you do the right thing, you work hard, you do it from an honest place, you do it from a good place, you end up in a good place.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you this. What is your fondest moment or memory of our mother?
The one memory that there's a few, but the one thing that I always remember, and I still laugh, when I laugh at myself when I hear it, I'm like, when she used to go out to the porch on 22nd Street, and she used to yell, Pelon! And I was like 3 blocks away. Remember?
Yeah.
And all my friends would say, habla tu mamá. Up to today, I trip out on that.
Bro, it's the same thing. Me too. Reyes.
Yeah.
No matter, I was on Imperial.
Yeah.
And I would hear that go up on the bike.
Message would get there. Yeah. And we would have to hurry back.
Yeah.
But I said, there's a lot. She always She would always celebrate my birthday. Even
she never forgot that.
Even
remember
when she was sick,
yeah,
she would celebrate. It took, I mean, and my wife's here. She won't let me lie, bro. It took me about 15 years for me to celebrate my birthday, maybe more, because my mom didn't celebrate my birthday no more. Everyone forgot for those years.
I always called you on your birthday. I always called you on your birthday. I never.
Let me clarify. People remember it's my birthday.
Yeah.
But my mom would make me a cake.
Yeah.
She would do something, and she would celebrate me.
Yeah.
When my mom got sick, and our family was going through that dysfunctional phase of separation, there was no more celebrating my birthday, but there was happy birthday.
Yeah, no. I understand.
It took almost 20 years for me to agree to say, let's celebrate. It's my birthday.
Yeah.
My wife loves to celebrate her birthday. and her birthday's after mine, one day after.
Yeah,
so that was my excuse to say, let's celebrate your birthday.
We're a week apart. Yeah.
But today, I overcame that. It took 20 years for me to overcome.
But you did.
But I did. I now celebrate my birthday.
So
those are the things.
What is your fondest memory with your brother Reyes?
When we were wrestling. When we were wrestling and you did the drop kick, pushed me to the window,
broke the window.
We had to put books in our butts.
butts.
Yeah. And the scariest memory, bro, is when we almost got ran over at
bro, we got to tell that story.
You go ahead. You were driving.
Okay, so I don't know if everybody remembers when you would get bottles and you would get 10 cents per bottle. So we had a bike. So my brother was in the back of the bike. We went into the store. So we get on the bike to go across the street and we're struggling.
It's like like this.
Like this. A car's coming about 100 miles an hour. Bro, he missed us.
I remember you were kind of going like this, just to try to.
Yeah, he missed us by this much. We would have both died.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
That's
the scariest.
That was the
memory from the past. Yeah. I still don't. When I go to a Padre game, and I have friends that are with me, I make it a point. Let me show you where I almost died.
Oh, wow.
We pass by there, bro. And we go through the neighborhood. But yeah, I have a lot of memories. But the one from wrestling, that
was a good one. Remember when you would cut your hair on your own?
I do.
Well, bro, I want to thank you for coming by. I want to congratulate you on everything that you've done, your moral victories, your victories as a person, as a father, as a brother, as a grandfather, as a businessman. And, I want you to know that I love you very much. And again, I apologize for the times that I failed you as a brother. But I love you very much, bro. I love my nephews. And, to me, it's been beautiful being your brother. Yeah. That will never, ever change. And I'm very proud of you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Happy for being here. No apologies needed. We're brothers.
Yeah, for sure.
We always will be, bro. Thank you, and much success to you with this program you have going on.
Thank you, bro. All right, the telescope room.